Hi everybody, Joshua Berkowitz here. I am so excited today to share an unboxing video with you. eBay, not sponsored by eBay. Unfortunately, that would be cool. eBay, reach out. Let's work on this relationship. I'm struggling with lighting, so you get today's shot is against my weirdly perspectivized bookshelves and ancestral situation up here. I ordered these two sets, and each one has two decks in it, actually, but they're identical. And they're playing cards from Israel, or at least they were printed in Israel. I think they were shipped from Arizona and Pennsylvania, and they're vintage, which now means from the 70s. So. I'm very excited to unbox them, and there's a very specific reason why I'm excited about these cards. They are both the same deck, but they are different editions, and so there's some subtle differences that I think will be really appreciated. And they're not, I don't know if they're not super rare or people just don't know that they're out of print, but they are, they're definitely out of print, and so you can really only get vintage decks of this, as far as I am aware. There's always, the card publishing world is not a super standardized affair, so sometimes it's who even knows? Okay, so this is a bubble mailer, very exciting, and there's a little note. Thank you, it was a pleasure doing business with you. I hope I've earned your positive feedback. I guess so, we'll see what the cards look like. Also in bubble. Now, I believe that these are printed in Tel Aviv, and I don't know exactly what date, and I will give you more information once I figure out which of the two sets this one is. We have Lion on there with this really cool ancient Hebrew situation. It's the brand of playing cards. Okay, so this is the more recent deck, and that I believe is 1970s, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a little bit later. This is the reprint. And what's so exciting, they're in perfect order. So that means even though that this deck is unwrapped, this one actually still has its plastic wrap on it. There's no date on these. I'm trying to find a date. But yeah, Jacob's Bible cards, made in Israel by Lion Playing Cards Factory Limited. And the very exciting thing is that, for example, here is the Joker. It's the serpent on the Tree of the Knowledge of Good and Evil. And there's no Hebrew word for Joker on there. There's three Jokers. Okay, and then we get the aces. But then we get the King of Hearts. So all the court cards are Bible characters. So imagine let's see if we can get that to focus. It's focusing on my face. This is the auto tracking camera shenanigans. There we go. Take my face out of it. It's a little better. So this is the King of Hearts. The King of Hearts is Solomon, or you have the wrong side. You have the Hebrew down here, which is Shlomo for Solomon. It's in and out of focus here. Should be able to see that all right. And I just think that is so freaking cool. So we got the King of Clubs, Ahasuerus or Achashverosh in Hebrew. That's the king in the book of Esther. But here's the thing. Let's say you take the characters within one suit. So the King of Diamonds is King David. But then let's say that you take what's going to be the Queen of Diamonds, if the King of Diamonds is David, is Bathsheba, of course, Bathsheba. So that's her with her jug that she's going up to the roof to bathe with, most likely. And then, of course, the Jack of Diamonds is going to be Yoav, who is David's military commander, his general. So just really cool. So up my alley, up my street here. And on the back you have I'll use the unwrapped one because it's a little bit clearer. On the back you I have to put it in front of my face for it to focus. There we go. On the back you have these emblems, and those are the emblems of the 12 tribes of Israel. Oops, sorry. It's either my face or the card. Both things cannot be in focus, apparently. And so you've got a little deer for Naphtali, you've got a little ephod for Levi or Levi, you've got all the little emblems. So cool. Okay. So we're going to put those back in their container and throw away all this insane plastic. Great. And now we've got this one, which is the older one apparently, and it came in a box. This one went out of print in the 70s. It was printing in the maybe late 40s, early 50s. So a pretty cool vintage item. And I want to talk a little bit about how I'm going to use these, because if you are familiar with my channel, you will know that I am a psychic, and I do a lot of readings, and I do card readings with playing cards. And so what I thought about for these cards is that since they have Bible characters on them, I could use the Bible characters as a source of information for my readings. So instead of thinking about what are the correspondences for the King of Hearts, it will be King Solomon for that deck. And I think I'd have to do some reconciliation work to figure out if I really like that that way of thinking about King of Hearts, but c'est la vie. There's always some sort of complication when you're trying to figure out your divination system. Okay, this one came in a big box. The other one just came in a cushion mailer. So, competition. Okay, this one also came with its own little plastic carrying case, which I thought was super cool. And it says souvenir from Israel on it. Cool. Jacob's Bible playing cards with a lion logo. And this one actually came with a little instructional booklet, which is cool. And it has a little description of each of the characters on the court cards. So, for example, King of Clubs is Ahasuerus or Ahashverosh, and the Hebrew is Melech Paras, which is King of Persia. And it also has a Xerxes as the potential Greek name, which may or may not be accurate. And Rex Pesarum, which is Latin for King of Persia. So, and then it says King of Persia in English, shown smoking his Oriental style by his hookah, with goblet in hand, as at the feast described in the book of Esther, chapter 1. So it gives you some sort of like biblical reference for each of the characters, which is so cool. So cool. These are both still wrapped in plastic, so these have not been opened, although they're not totally sealed in because the plastic is not totally intact. It kind of looks like they weren't. Yeah, this is like super old shrink wrap, maybe pre-shrink wrap actually. They clearly were not wrapped to be totally enclosed because the corners are sticking out even on this one that is really perfectly intact. So here's what I want to show you. The backs are a little bit different. I'm just ripping it open, you guys. Vintage decks, not made to sit on a shelf, my friends. I do not buy things to look at them or to accrue value over time. These decks were like not expensive, so not going to be that person. The backs are a little different. It's open now. The backs are a little different. Here we go. Boop, 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 boop. Can you see it? Kind of. There's a menorah, as you can see. There is there we go. And then you have the 12 seals of the tribes of Israel as well. Kind of, actually. Nope, just kidding. What you'll notice is actually those are zodiac signs. They aren't the seals of the 12 tribes. They're the animals of the zodiac this time. Now you might be saying, aren't those the same thing, Joshua? Why isn't it working? Well, you got the idea. And no, they're not exactly the same. This is definitely the zodiac. And it's around a menorah that has a mem or an M on it. I'm not sure what that's about. It might stand for menorah. It might stand for Maccabee. But the name of the company is Lion, so that's weird. Why the M? And then there's these grapevines all around everything. Now there's some significant differences in this deck. The Joker is not the serpent. The Joker is not the serpent with the tree of knowledge. The Joker is the demon Ashmodai, which I thought was so intense. So freaking intense to have him show up in your reading. He has like an open third eye and like Lilith type claws and these dark wings and this peacock situation going on. He reminds me of like Melech Taus or something, like really cool. And he actually has a Hebrew name, unlike the Joker in the newer deck, and he's holding he's holding the 4 suits, and so he's much more like a tarot fool, or really a tarot magician, actually, or the bateleur, the juggler in classical card styles. And so he's very old school feeling to me, and it does have the Hebrew for Joker there, which is leitz, which means a jester or a clown, which is really cool to me. And the people in the suits are a little tiny bit different. Also not dated, but it's a bummer that people don't date playing cards. Like, that would make my life easier. So King of Hearts, Solomon. King of Diamonds, David. King of Spades, Saul, which is interesting. And King of Clubs, Ahasuerus again. Yeah, I don't think he is smoking in the new one, but yeah, he's totally smoking hookah in this older version. Queen of Hearts is Queen of Sheba, so that would be to associate her with Solomon. Queen of Diamonds, Bathsheba, to be with David. Queen of Spades, though, is Judith, which is really cool. Judith is the one who kills, what's the guy's name? It's not in the Bible, it's Apocrypha, but he kills this enemy of Israel when everyone else is like afraid and doesn't want to fight. And then we have Esther as the Queen of Clubs. I should be showing you these, but they just don't focus so well. The Jack of Hearts is Absalom, David's son, who tries to usurp the throne from him and then from Solomon. The Jack of Diamonds is Joab, David's commander of the army. Jonathan is Saul's son and David's lover, Jehonatan. He is the Jack of Spades, and he's got his bow because when David and Jonathan have a secret meeting, they use this like archery signal. It's kind of a complicated story, but to show that the coast is clear. And then the Jack of Clubs comes from the story of Esther. This is Harbona, who is one of the he's a I guess a eunuch in the court of the king of Persia. I don't remember specifically. I looked this up recently, but I don't remember. He is the one who he has some part in. Oh, he's the one who suggests that hanging Haman from his own gallows. He sort of implies it to the king, and then the king says that that's what they should do. So really, really cool deck of cards. The rest is like totally standard playing cards, but these court cards are why I bought these decks. Like, so cool. And each of them comes with 2, so you can like keep one in the plastic and use one. Although I'll probably tear them all open, to be honest. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So freaking cool. I'm really excited about that. So I hope that you enjoyed my joy at getting these cards. You can find them pretty easily online, either on eBay or like I think maybe Etsy has some. But I paid like, with shipping, I ended up paying about $20 for each one. So for each set of 2 decks. And so that's $10 a deck when it comes down to it. Including shipping and everything, which might seem like a lot for a playing card deck, but if you're in like the cardomancy world, that's like nothing. So it was just like, it was a really cool, what's going on with my hair? It was a really cool thing to get with the Hebrew on it, and just able so much more to bring that into my system. I might have talked about this a little bit before, but I've really adjusted my systems of divination because I resonate more strongly with imagery that is germane to the Jewish and Christian mystical traditions. And so using tarot, which is sort of from the Jewish and Christian mystical traditions, but like brings in a lot of Egyptian stuff and a lot of sort of pagan ideas. I'm not necessarily saying that there's something wrong with that, but it's not my thing. And so even though I really learned how to do readings with tarot, I have since kind of been shifting away from tarot and moving more toward mathematical oracles and playing cards, because those images don't sort of they just mesh so much more easily with my own spirituality, and so I want my divination to mesh well with my spirituality, because my spirituality, my connection and my relationship with God is the source of my psychic readings. And so we want the whole pipeline from the gain chain, if you will. That's like a weird AV Tech reference, but we want the chain from sort of like the divine source of good readings right down to the client receiving the counsel to be kind of consistent, and that's how the most clear information is going to move through the channel. And so if you're thinking about, if you're listening to this and hearing, wait a second, is he saying that the imagery I use in my readings might need to match up with my spirituality? Yes, that's what I'm saying. And so maybe you would want to think about if that channel is really consistent, because the more consistent it is, the more open it will be, the more easily you'll be able to bring information through. As I'm saying that, I'm realizing that there's probably going to be exceptions to that, and there's going to be times where, like, taking a new card deck that you're unfamiliar with is going to give you a boost to your readings, because it is unfamiliar, and sometimes our intuitions work better when that sensor is kind of set to the side. So I get that there's other ways to look at it, but this has been my experience. As with everything that I share, it's always my experience. It's not like I'm usually not giving gospel from my YouTube channel. So I would say that you need to rely on your own experience as well. But I've really... I've noticed that over the past few decades, it seems, not that I've been alive for many decades, just 3, but over the past few decades, it seems like historically, psychic reading has been secularized gradually to the point that people are sort of, they see psychic readings as something that is sort of almost scientific. Like, you pick up a deck and you learn how to read it and you can do a reading. And it's been pulled out of the clutches of religion or even spirituality, where it's not really about a connection with God anymore. It's about a connection with each other, maybe, or a connection with the deck, or a connection with symbolism. And it's like, those aren't necessarily bad things, but for me, that's just not where it's at. Like, psychic readings should come from a spiritual source, and if they don't, I'm not really interested. So I have worked really hard to make that channel consistent for me, and so this is one step in that direction of bringing the symbolism of my own traditions into my reading more seamlessly. I hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe and comment. I answer comments, so you'll notice on past videos, I really do answer comments. I really appreciate when people comment. I really appreciate when people bring up questions, and I will get to them. I will answer them. I've had some people write me recently and say, hey, why aren't you making more videos? I'm making more videos. So please, let's engage this conversation, because it's one that I love having with other people. Sometimes when you're making YouTube videos, it feels like you're talking to a wall. So, I mean, because that's literally what it is until the video is up. So bring it on. Like, let's interact. And if you want a reading, you can also check out my website, jwmberkowitz.com. My rates are pretty average for where I live. I basically charge $1 a minute for my readings, so that starts at a half an hour for $30. I have played around with different, ways of pricing my readings, but it's just too much confusion. $1 a minute is the system that makes the most sense to me, and most represents what I think is a good reading is worth. So, great. Thanks. Enjoy. I look forward to hearing from you.